Hi, Hank. How you doing? I don't know if Hank can hear me or not.
Or if he chooses to hear you, I don't know.
Hi, how are you?
He heard.
I think that may be
Hello?
I think that may be a picture of Hank, you know?
No, Frank
Hello?
Frank was just on a second ago talking to David.
Hank usually doesn't go picture. He goes pictureless.
Mhm. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, cool.
You can, but your video seems to be fixed, so that's why we're
Yeah, I
asking.
don't have video on it.
Ah, that would manage it. Yeah. Okay. We have a picture of you sitting there reading a paper of some sort.
Yeah, I was in Panama.
Ah.
Good for you.
I hope not recently.
No, this is like 2017.
Oh, okay.
Again, Pete? Good evening.
Hey, welcome.
How's everyone doing?
Good.
Good.
Staying cool, hopefully. Hi, Sarah.
Hello, hello.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Good evening.
If I may ask, who is KYOCERA? We would like your name for the minutes.
Yeah, I'm Charlene Ross's husband. She's gonna jump on in just a minute.
Okay,
One of the abutters, sir.
no problem.
And they didn't put me on video until she got here. She's a lot cuter than me.
I think most of us can say that about our spouses.
Understood.
Not sure if the ladies feel the same way about their spouses.
I'm not sure we want to start that fight tonight, but
I don't think we want to go there, you know?
No, that's right. We also have a Steve.
Yes, I'm in a butter.
Okay. Can I get your last name, Steve?
T. Benedictus.
Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3.
Still
I
missing.
didn't hear from anyone saying they weren't going to show up tonight. But I only see 4 4 members so far. Am I adding up correctly, David?
That is correct.
How many do you need for a quorum?
4.
We need 4.
Okay.
Well, we're live and we're good for that, but
Okay.
it's always nicer to have more than.
Oh, yeah. I totally agree.
We have a new telephone person in? Yes, you.
D. Murphy.
All right, I'm gonna give it 1 more minute and then we'll get going.
Okey-doke. If I may ask, who is 603-398? 6,
I need 6.
who's on the phone only? Or is that?
My name is Chris Costello, and I am on the phone only, but that's not my number.
Last 4
Okay.
digits, 0204?
That's all it shows, yeah. Shows the 603-986-0204.
That would be me, Chris Costello.
Yep, thank you.
Quiet. Jesus Christ.
Uh-oh, Chris, remember you're online.
I know.
That's not me. That's not me.
Because my wife had just got out of the shower. I didn't want, anybody to be shocked.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to be flashed, thank you, no.
No.
Huntley, you're looks like you're coming in with the help of your technical expert. It says connecting to audio right now.
Axel, come here. Axel.
Okay, it's not going to be fun, but
Oh,
Huntley, I think you're on. We're good?
yeah, we were having some issues. I got it on the phone though.
Okay, I appreciate that. All righty, so let's get this thing started. Members, if I'm reading correctly and seeing correctly, I see David.
Mhm. Yep.
I see Sarah, Kathleen.
Yep.
I see Chris McAleer. And I I did see Huntley before, but now
Oh, battery's going low.
better plug that little guy in.
go plug it in.
Yeah, we're gonna plug it in.
Good idea. Based on who is here right now, I believe, Huntley, you're going to be voting this evening.
Hopefully you're going to be voting.
I'm back.
Good to see you back. All right. So our first order of business is to, I believe, look at our minutes from last meeting.
Yourself ahead of the game.
And if you're like me, I don't have the ability to look at them and look at you guys all at once. But I did look at them when we did distribute them.
Yep.
The issue is that we had 2 sets of minutes go out.
Your coffee.
One was the first initial draft, and then the other was an edited copy. And we should be looking at the edited copy. The edited copy would include corrections provided by Sarah relative to the way we added in some information on I think NCC or somebody.
Right.
And the other was a correction that said we accepted the applications, not approved the applications for the STR. Yeah, I have the same issue. Hang on a sec.
Actually, that sun is blocking the.
All right. Any comments regarding minutes?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as written.
Okay. I have a second.
I'll second it.
Okay. For the record, that was Sarah who did the motion, and who did the second? I'm sorry.
David,
David,
David did the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have any opposed? And just for the record, again, we've seen a lot of folks doing the Zoom meetings where they actually do a roll call. For purposes of what we do here, if there is any objection, any nay, I will ask for a roll call vote. Otherwise, I will not. Are we good on that, everybody?
Yes.
Good.
All right. I think that works and meets the requirements for the meeting. All right. First order of business on the agenda is anything that's not on the agenda. Does anyone have any public comments about anything that's not on the agenda this evening? All right, hearing none, we have this evening, in addition to the regular meeting, we have a public hearing. This is to initiate the start of that public hearing. A notice was put in the Common Daily Sun, and we also posted on the Jackson website, e-news. And this is specifically for the Johansson subdivision. We've received information. I believe we have done all our mailings to, my goodness, I think there were 32 folks that we had to send abutter notices to for this one, the property size. And we did that, and we received an updated plot most recently from Kevin Tilton, and I think it just added a couple of small items that were just not on the first step. Kevin, are you prepared to walk us through?
Yep, I'm ready to go if everybody else is ready. So,
do you have something you want to put on the screen? Kevin, or no?
sure, yeah. Does everybody have a copy of the PDF or a hard copy of the plan, first of all? I can also share. Let's see, it says host has disabled participant screen sharing. So if you can enable that, I can share my PDF. If not, that's fine too.
Well, I have it.
Okay. So just to give, by the way, I'm Kevin Tilton from HEV Engineers. I'm representing the Johansson Family Holdings LLC, the owner of the property. The Johansson family has owned this property since about 2006. They initially hired us back in 2006 to perform a boundary survey of the complete property. As part of our work, we had found nobody had ever really done exhaustive surveying of this parcel. Hence all the little oddities and outlots and everything that everybody's probably seen on the plan and all the abutters that we alluded to. We also discovered the fact that there are parcels that belong with this property in the town of Bartlett, which nobody was really aware of. So just that's some of the background there. What we're proposing here, the total lot in Jackson is 108 acres. Originally, the Johanssons had hired us to potentially put in a subdivision. We had come up with a couple of conceptual layouts of 15 to 20 lots. That was including having to build about 1,000 feet of town standard road to be able to have enough frontage for each of those lots and all the infrastructure and everything. And like I said, this was in 2007, right prior to the big crash and everything. So they've been kind of sitting on this property and are ready to, kind of move on. They don't want to spend the money on putting in a big road. They understand the beauty, the natural character of the property and everything. So what we're proposing here is to just carve it into 2 lots. Basically, there's a very nice buildable area up on the top. You can kind of see where the labels are for tax lot R30 and R30/3A. There's 2 nice big building areas. There's a few wetlands interspersed there. But that total area up on top is about 17 acres of good soils after you subtract the wetlands and you throw on wetland buffers and everything. So like I said, we're proposing, it ends up being one lot of 71 acres, another lot of about 37 acres. That's going to take in all the land all the way down to the river. Each lot would have river frontage. Each lot has road frontage. For lot R33A, the one to the north, there's really not great access to that along Town Hall Road as you get further out towards the end of the road. So that's why we've proposed a shared driveway on the frontage that R30/3 has. So basically, there'd be about 800 feet of an easement that would go across that first lot to be able to access the second lot. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of questions regarding boundaries and shared uses and things like that. So I'll just kind of let the board and the public, fire away with any questions, and I'm more than happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you. For purposes of the public hearing, I'd appreciate it if you could, if you're in a butter, direct your question to me. I'm not sure how we're going to do this thing on Zoom to try to get me to see you or whatever, but we'll try our best to make that happen. Before we get to the abutters, I'd like to ask the board members for comments, please.
Bill?
Yes, sir.
I think that what we can do is if somebody wants to speak, if they can just wave their hand and then you can recognize them. That might be the easiest way to do it on
Get
Zoom.
on. I can't seem to get myself back on. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
You're
see
on,
if I
Judy.
can.
I am on. Hi, I'm Judy Sears Houston. I'm just trying to get the plan off of here so I can talk with you face to face.
Okay, I can do that.
Thank you.
No problem.
Let's see. My parents have owned the property that my sister and I now own on Town Hall Road since 1948. And we're on Town Hall Road. We're lot number 039L00 in Bartlett. And there's a small piece of property that's between us and our abutter to the east or uphill. And it looks like from the survey that is actually owned by the Johanssons. Is that correct, Kevin?
Yes, that is correct. Yep.
Okay, so for years I thought it was an easement, but apparently it's not. Can you please point out where the access to the 17 acres where a house is proposed? I assume there's a well there. Is that the area?
Yes, yep, that's where roughly where the house is gonna be, is where that well is proposed. And the
Okay.
access is gonna be quite a ways further up off Town Hall Road on the Jackson side of the line. If
Can you
look-
tell me whereabouts it's showing? I can't quite make it out on here.
Yeah, it's on, it's gonna be just north of tax lot R31/33 in Jackson.
R31/33.
There's a label that says Town Hall Road right on the road. And if you
Oh, I
just
see.
up from that
Okay.
just a little bit, yep. So there's an
So-
existing woods road there now that's always been what
Yep.
they've historically used for logging, and there's been a trail that all the locals have used and everything. And that's what we're
Hampton, yep.
proposing, is just using that existing woods road as the access and not up through that narrow corridor by your property there.
Okay, and you said that there would be a common, you were talking fast, I was trying to write.
Oh, sorry.
But you said the other lot, is that the smaller lot, 30/3?
So 30/3 is the smaller one that's right behind your house.
Right,
And then
and,
our 33A is the bigger one to the north.
okay, so the developed, bless you. So, the proposed house is gonna be on the larger lot? There's a
There's
lot-
going to be one on each lot.
one on each lot,
Yes, yep,
and with a shared driveway coming off Hanscom, the
correct. Yes, the old
Hanscom
Hanscom Road. Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And let's see, so there's no proposed multi-lot subdivision then? You mentioned that in 2007, you looked at 15 to 20
Mhm.
lots.
Correct. That's what we looked at, but they decided it wasn't feasible from a cost standpoint, so that's why we're proposing just these 2 lots now.
Right, right. Okay, so no other difference. Is there going to be, from a planning board standpoint, is there going to be any restrictions on clearing of the land down to the river? Is that something that the planning board would consider?
That I don't believe is in our purview.
Mm-hmm.
I can speak from just from a regulation standpoint that the state of New Hampshire has regulations that any cutting 250 feet from the shore of the river falls under the Shoreland Protection Act. The forester that's out there now, his intent is to not cut within that 250-foot buffer because he doesn't want to get involved in that. Plus, realistically, that when you throw that 250-foot buffer onto the property, it basically falls in the middle of that really steep slope that goes down, and he even said he physically can't get equipment in there, or even a one-man crew with a chainsaw to get in there and cut and pull any of the wood out. So his intention is to not cut in any of those lower areas right now, and just strictly on the top there.
Okay, now I know people from our road, we have used access to the east of our property, for 60 plus years to gain access to the river down there. What is the Johansson's opinion for us to keep using that access down there to the river?
The whole time that they've owned it, they've obviously never had any issue. They didn't throw up no trespassing signs or anything while they've owned the property. I can't speak for what's going to be allowed going forward. If somebody else buys that lot, they don't necessarily have any intentions of restricting that, but also they don't have any intentions of putting an easement to the public or anything either. So.
Okay, is that something that we can ask for in this deed? Is that we still have access to the river when this gets subdivided, planning board?
That's a legal issue that, no, that's not the planning board's requirement. Our requirement is to ensure that this subdivision meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance, and the easements are not a part of that, or ensuring that any If there is an easement currently and on the transfer, that's a legal issue that would have to occur between the buyer and the seller.
Just a comment, there's obviously a precedent if a path has been used for many years that it may qualify for an automatic easement, but that again, as Bill says, that's I don't think that's anywhere near an issue for the planning board. That's an issue for the attorneys when they write up the deed.
Okay, so is that something that we can maybe write a letter, Kevin, to you and put that request in writing and maybe have some of our other neighbors sign that letter or send a similar letter?
Certainly, yeah. You could reach out to the Johansson family and let them know your concerns. And like I said, they're reasonable people. They haven't put up no trespassing signs to this point. So,
right.
Like I said, the big question is what's going to happen going forward with a new landowner. And if they're open to putting an easement on the property for public use for the river, they may be open to it. That being said, that would also take away from the value, for them to be selling it to somebody if suddenly everybody can use that and people were planning on using that for their own private area. So it's certainly worth reaching out to them. I just can't say for sure.
Right. Okay. I will shut up now and let others speak if they want to.
Thank you for your questions.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to entirely speak for the board. Any board members have any other comments regarding the easement?
I think you're right on that, Bill, is that the easements have to go through the deed process, and that would be through the lawyers and not through us.
Okay.
I have a couple questions, and that is.
All right, board's recognizing, is that Cheryl Vernon?
No, it's Sarah.
Sarah.
Oh.
Sarah Kimball.
Oh, Sarah Kimball, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought
I would like to also, but yes.
I was looking across and,
Yeah.
Okay, please, Sarah, go first, and then Cheryl will come back to you.
Are there any buildings on this lot now?
Nothing on this lot now. No.
And the Johanssons, are they planning to sell both lots, or are they going to hang on to one and sell the other?
Probably sell both. It's the whole family that owns it, and Ralph Johansson's been my key contact, and he really loves the property and would love to be able to keep one for himself, but he has to meet the needs and wishes of the whole family. So probably both are being sold.
Okay. And to ask that question differently, there are no buildings on either lot, is that correct?
Correct, yep.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Cheryl, please.
Okay, I want to say I'm much in the same situation because I'm the abutter on the other side of that easement, along with my siblings. We have been using that path, as our family's heritage since the 50s, not quite as long as the Sears family has been, and don't have any expectations necessarily, as a right to it necessarily, but I would like there to be something. So I'm going to ask, he said, reach out to the Johansson family. Can you give us the information to do that, please?
Yes.
And nobody wants to take anything away and detract from the value of that land. Certainly no one owns the river. We just want to have the ability, we don't have a spot right on the river, but have always had a very quick access down the hill. Not really buildable land, as you said. It's kind of quite steep. It got tough for my mother and father as they aged and stuff. But, it's where we like to go and have our spot on the river, have always had for generations now. And I want to be able to, have my kids still enjoy that as, they own the property in the future. So much the same situation that you had described before, but could you give us some information, first of all, how to reach out to the Johansson family property? Or would it just all go through lawyers?
Certainly, I would think it'd be fine to directly email them or something, and I can send you.
I'd rather start that way on a friendly basis.
Yeah, no, definitely. If you could get me your email address, or let me give you my email address for anybody that's interested and just wants to contact me. It's it's K Tilton, TILTON at hebengineers.com.
hebengineers.com.
And if you send me an email, I can get to you probably in the next couple of days and forward you on.
Okay, and you'll see, it'll say Cheryl Vernon in my email. My name is in the email, so. So I'll send you something and what we're, looking for. And again, I'd like to start on friendly terms. Up in that area, we've always been very, friendly terms and agreements with people. And I know that's not always the best way to do things. Back when Skilling's owned it, the property back there before Johansson,
Right. Yep.
It was never an issue, and they knew my father and Judy's father and, all that stuff before.
Yep.
So I'd like to keep it friendly, but also leave some sort of protection for us to be able to access it just as a pass through to get to the river.
Certainly understandable. Yep.
And I think also to Chris McAleer's point earlier, that if it's something that has been done, as you say, for generations, or is usually there, it may be that it needs to be recognized regardless. I'm not a lawyer, and I don't pretend to be, but I know that as part of the Conservation Commission on town, we've had conversations of that sort, where paths that have been through particular areas have to be maintained because they've been that way forever. And I don't know the details of it.
If I might, just real quick, you can see where the easement is, but where the path down is really just at the edge of their property, and it's not cutting off the middle of their property, or it wouldn't be anywhere where they would be building. We would probably be sharing the same path that they would be down to the river. I guess that's just forbidden.
I guess what I'm saying is I think you have a place that you can push this. I just don't know all the details about how you do that. And I think you're right. The best way to start it is working through Kevin, talking to the Johansson family.
There's also been use of.
I'm recognizing Judy Houston.
Yes, sorry.
Thank you.
I did see also that if the River Road, it's now called Waterfront Road, that's a private road, I believe.
Yes, it is. It is a private road. It was originally laid out as a town road back in the 50s, and then the town gave it back to the Hearn family that owned it at the time, owned the property at the time. So that was part of our research, is that the underlying ownership is of the Johansson family, but there is still an implied easement for all of those lot owners along there to still.
Okay, so none of that is going to change.
No,
correct?
nothing will change there.
Okay. Now the road continues actually behind our place and the Mellor's place, and it actually peters out into like a path until it actually reaches, it looks like, John T. Barrett's lot.
Yes. Yep.
Never knew that person there has a total landlocked little lot.
Right.
That's amazing. But I know it goes down over a hill there, because we used to cross-country ski down there, and then we sidestepped down the hill, and then we went across the river.
Yep.
And across the river, there you go up another hill, and you actually hit a railroad easement.
Right. Yep.
I guess I haven't been down that path all the way to that location in many years. I don't know if Cheryl's family has at all. But I guess I'm not as concerned about having access there for generations to come as I would be with our path going down to the river road. But it does look like some of the river road, if we were to go down to the river and then take a left off our path, Cheryl, then that still might be on their property. But again, it's in an area where I don't think they'd be able to construct anything. I'm just kind of talking off the cuff here. I have a question about traffic during construction. Is this going to be a paved driveway?
We haven't specified. It would probably be up to the owners and what the town of Jackson regulations are. I believe the Jackson regulations do allow for gravel driveways, right? As long as they're not over a certain gradient.
I believe that's correct, yes.
Yeah. So it would be totally up to the individual lot owners what they want to build.
Okay. Do you have a feel for, so they might not develop the driveway and just sell both lots undeveloped totally, or?
Potentially, yeah. Right now there is a forester in there doing some logging, and so they're going to rough in at least the beginning of it to get a log landing in there. So there will, you probably see now there's probably a little bit of gravel in there, and depending on what they need to do to get the trees out and everything, they might rough in a little more of the road and bring in some gravel to get it started. But they don't intend on building, the full 800 feet of driveway in there right now.
Okay, because I'm concerned of traffic coming down when it gets down by our lots. Trucks and cars are flying down that hill. And then in the opposite direction, they're gaining speed to make it up the hill.
Right.
So during construction, I'm wondering what we can ask the planning board. I know traffic is part of your purview. And I'm wondering if the town of Bartlett has been notified of any of this proposed work, because this is going to be their only in and out, is all the construction.
The town of Bartlett has been notified as part of the abutter process because it abuts the town line. So the selectmen have been notified. As far as traffic, I certainly understand your concerns there, but we are talking only 2 additional house lots.
Right.
Fairly minor in comparison. Like I said, it could have been 15 to 20, which once you get to that tipping point, certainly you'd want to do a full traffic study to see if there need to be any upgrades to the existing roads and everything. But a typical 2-lot subdivision, at least ones that I've brought to the planning board before, don't usually require full-on traffic study or anything.
Right. No, I'm wondering about logging, and if they do log 108 acres, that's a lot of logging trucks.
Right. And realistically, it's probably only going to be, 20 to 25 acres, which is still fairly good size, but they're not going down over the bank there. So it's really going to be just limited to that upper part.
Okay. It looks like there's ledge up there too.
And just for the record, I did note that an intent to cut was approved by the selectmen in Jackson. So they did go through the process necessary to initiate the cut.
Okay, thank you. And alteration of terrain, Kevin.
Alteration of terrain is not needed because of the size of disturbance. I can't remember the threshold. I think it's 100,000 square feet, which is like over 2 acres. And we're right now, as it is, we're not even proposing any disturbance other than the initial roughing into the driveway, which technically falls under the forestry practices. So.
Right, and are they stumping the 20 to 25 acres of forest? Or
I don't believe so. I think they want to try to leave it as natural as possible, and then allow once somebody's ready to build a house, then they can decide what they want to do. But the Johanssons, when they bought this property, I believe logging had been done just prior to them buying it. It was either just prior or just after they bought. And they were kind of horrified with the logging job with the particular forester that had done that at the time. So they've really put in an effort to work with a different forester who's, got it in mind that they're not going to clear cut this. They certainly want to open up a few views because there's potential for views to the double heads and down the river towards the moats and everything. But they want to do it, make it look nice. They don't want to cut right up to the boundary lines between all the houses. They understand that it's a neighborhood and everything. So, so the forester that's in there is trying to not cut too much.
Is there a buffer with the planning board to property lines for cutting?
Excuse me, planning board does not take any responsibility for any of what you're describing for this subdivision, simply because it's a simple subdivision. It's not a complex one. We don't do a review. This is considered to be whether or not it meets the zoning ordinance requirement. That's all we're going to be looking at. And we'll go through the checklist. We have gone through the checklist, and they have met the requirements of the checklist for that. So you're asking questions which are far beyond what an expectation would be for this kind of review.
And I do understand some of the questions. I don't mind answering them because I know certain towns do have buffer requirements in their planning and zoning. So I don't take any offense to it. I do understand where that's coming from. But like you said, Jackson doesn't have those requirements. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Liz, and can you identify yourself, please?
Hi, Liz and Martin Hawks. We have a home on 34 Waterfront Road.
So I was looking for some clarification on the map. I'm trying to figure out who owns Waterfront Road. I've been trying to figure that out ever since we bought the place. So on the map, it looks like, well, the boundary looks like it goes through the center of the river and then along the edge of all the lots. But then it looks like there's a tiny little piece, like at the end of where, right where lot R33 meets Waterfront Road. It almost looks like there's a boundary line right there. So I'm wondering if Kevin can maybe clarify that.
Yes, let me just find lot 33. Hold on 1 second. Oh, yes, yeah, okay. So at lot 33, there's a stone post symbol. Is that where you're talking?
No, I'm sorry. I was talking about lot R30-3, where it says boundary follows top of bank.
Oh, yes, okay, gotcha.
And then right where it goes right close to the river, and there's a whole bunch of stuff comes together right there.
Yes, yeah, it's a little confusing spot there because the town line comes through there, and then there's a projection of the property line, and then the roadside lines and the thread of the river. So there's a lot of stuff going on there, like you said. So to answer your first question, I had mentioned earlier that the Johanssons actually do own Waterfront Road. They own the underlying fee, and then there's basically an easement that you and all the other lot owners along that road have to be able to access that. So it's not really any different than an actual town road. Like typically on a normal town road, you would own to the center, but there's a town easement over the whole property that everybody can use. It's a little different here where they actually own the full width of the road, but you have an easement over that. So there's really no change in how that's approached. So that's kind of the answer to that question.
So that easement will continue.
Correct. Yep. There's nothing that can change that. That's been in place. It's an implied easement because all of those lots were subdivided off that road. So it's implied access for the whole thing. So nothing will change there.
Okay. And then I was also, sorry, did you have something else you were going to?
I think just to kind of answer your question, like they're at the town line at lot 33. There is a little, the Johanssons own a little bit of land in Bartlett, and so that's what we're trying to explain in that little detail, where the top of bank comes in and everything. And that's just really what happened was the Skillings Rupp family owned this whole piece of land, including all of these small lots that were in two towns, and there was no planning board process like there is now, so they could just kind of carve up lots willy-nilly, and you've got lots that are overlapping in the two towns because nobody knew where the town line was and everything. So that's why we have planning boards nowadays to do these things.
Right.
So that's kind of a little bit of the background there, and we're just trying to really, show that detail there.
Okay. And so subsequently, so I'm also interested in that what's marked as River Road that Judith was talking about. We use that trail all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
A lot of other people do too, because it's well used.
Yep, certainly.
So I just wondered, is that an actual easement? Is that going to continue?
So the Barretts that have the that lot that we were talking about, John Barrett, that has the lot that's further up there at the end of that road, he has an easement that was deeded to him or to his predecessors. And that's not to say that you wouldn't necessarily be able to use the road, but he has a legal easement. And like Bill was saying, there's potentially an implied easement, but that's more of a legal issue, that if there was really a problem that you really felt like you'd have vested rights, that's something you'd probably want to, I would say, approach the Johansson family, see how they feel about it. But that's more of a legal question than for a lawyer or something like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
That's good.
Okay, Sarah, I recognize Sarah.
Since part of the lot is in Bartlett, does the Bartlett Planning Board have to weigh in on this?
We notified the town as required by state law. Whenever you're up against the town line, we've notified them. We are not creating any new lots in the town of Bartlett, and we are also not proposing this as the sole access through the town of Bartlett. So it doesn't require any subdivision approval or planning board approval from the town.
Okay.
That's my understanding anyways.
Right. Any other comments from abutters?
Actually, I have a question.
Good.
Yeah, this is Bob Pete.
Okay, I'm sorry, who?
I changed my name. It was Millie's Mac, but I put my name on that. Bob Pete. I'm also on Waterfront Road.
Okay, great. Thanks, Bob. Go ahead.
So I know this property is going to get subdivided and sold. So following up on the Waterfront Road and the easement, does that transfer to one of the owners of these new properties? Like, who owns that property once these other lots are sold?
Yes, the underlying ownership is going to be transferred to lot R30/3. That road and any of those remnants that are in Bartlett, there's a couple little remnants, are going to go with that lot. So that ownership will go, but your easement over that portion on Waterfront Road will still be retained.
Okay.
Okay. You're all set, Bob? Anybody else? Diana? Diana Provencher?
That's correct. So I am Cheryl Vernon's sister, just so you know. That property we were talking about is also mine. My question really, if this is being divided into two now, is there a possibility that in the future, the lot, particularly the one that abuts ours, is there a possibility that that could then be split again? I mean, is that something a new owner can do?
The only way it could, the town requires, is it 200 feet of frontage? I apologize, I can't remember if it's 150 or 200. So the town requires that every lot has 200 feet of frontage, and that lot right now, as we're proposing it, has 319 feet of frontage. So using the existing town road, you could not cut it up into any more lots. That being said, if somebody were to buy this lot as a developer and wanted to spend the money to put 1,000 feet of town standard road in to put more lots, it would be possible, but it's going to be a lot harder to do because we've already broken this in two. They're going to be limited, and it probably wouldn't be worth their while. So as it's configured now, there's no way it could be subdivided because there's not sufficient frontage. They would have to build a town standard road, which is not a small matter, basically.
Okay, great. That's what I was hoping to hear. Thank you.
Any other folks? I hear or see any hands raised?
Right here.
Yes.
Hi, Francis Lyons here.
Sorry?
Francis Lyons.
Okay.
Okay, I own a lot up there that's a significant abutter to that. I've been up there since 1975. Some of the people that I've heard talk before, I think it's probably that I knew their parents. Okay, which means I'm a little older than them. I'm very interested in this because I am very close to the property line up there, the back property line that they're doing, and I've had a little bit of discussion with the not only the realtor but also the owner of the property. It's interesting to find out more of the information about the use of Waterfront Road. That originally used to go across to the Foster property and then come back once it crossed up further. And it was Ed Hurd's father, I think, that gave the Department of Agriculture the right to put the road in what is now called Town Hall Road, put that road in up there. And I know some of the deeds explain that that section of dirt road from the town line up, if the town never needed the use of it, or the forestry never needed the use of it, it would revert back to the heirs of the owners. But I don't have any positive or negative feelings about the subdivision of this lot, even though I've got a significant boundary with it. My only concern was initially, I heard they were going to do some major clear cutting that would be right along the stone wall that's adjacent to my property. And Had a little trouble getting online here with the Zoom meeting, and I think probably the problem is more my age and my inaccuracy with using a lot of this new technology. I need a teenager to help me a lot of times. What I'd like to do is get an opportunity to go to the town hall and look at the maps that they have, so that I'm more hands-on rather than Zoom and everything else.
And I can get you a copy too. That's not a problem. I can either drop one off for you, or like you said, if you want to get one at the town hall, we can arrange something. It's not a problem.
Do you know where my office is?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might be able to drop off tomorrow. I've got to head out of town too, but worst case
Well,
scenario, early next week.
I'm actually out of town right now, but I will be back next week, and I'd like to look at this further and maybe talk to the town officials some more. I did have a very nice, friendly discussion with the owner of the property a week or so ago. I was hoping that it was a part of it or some of it was still up for sale, and unfortunately, that's not the case right now. I'll want to pursue that further.
Okay.
Okay, I think I see a hand waving. Judy Houston?
Hi. Kevin, I see the frontage on Town Hall Road where the driveway is proposed at 319 feet, but I also see frontage for the larger lot of almost 1,600 feet.
Correct. Yep.
Why wouldn't somebody be able to break that up into lots?
It is all wetland, and it's very steep down off the side of that road. So you'd have to get a wetland permit from the town and from the state. And typically they will, especially the state won't grant a wetlands permit if you have alternative access. So that's why we're proposing this shared driveway. There's just no physical way to get in through that other side. And as it is, the town has a stipulation you can only have 2 units off of a driveway. So right now with the 2, it's completely maxed out without turning it into a complete town standard road.
So this cross hatching or this like stippling I see on the plan, that's all wetland?
Yes. Yep.
Does it go all the way over to the north?
Yes, it goes all the way over to the north, and even if it's not all wet, it's probably floodplain from the East Branch River. We didn't study that whole area because we knew it was basically unbuildable, but it's either floodplain or it's wetland, and it's too steep to get down to it, so we didn't even investigate trying to do any buildable area there.
Yeah, I did development. I'm an engineer. I did it for 30-something years, and if you have enough money, you can really do it. So
it's getting harder and harder, though. That's for sure.
It does. It is, because there isn't much buildable land left.
Right.
But that would be my concern, is this 1,600 feet of frontage here, and there being, some way somebody can get a right of way in here somehow and chop up that lot. So I guess we're just going to have to keep our eyes and ears open at all of our neighbors and see if we hear anything in Jackson happening up here.
If I may, then I appreciate all the comments. Again, we're not focused on what the future might be, and you're absolutely right, Judy, that with money you can do just about anything within a.
Can I get that on record?
You can do just about anything if you're within the zoning ordinance. You just have to get it. Don't take it out of context. And so yeah, there might be a further development opportunity that may have to be considered at some future point. Our purpose this evening is to look at splitting a very large parcel of land into 2 separate parcels, which at best I can tell really does limit the use of the property as opposed to widening the scope of development. And so in that respect, for your concern, this is something that probably should make you feel a little bit better about what they're doing compared to maybe the 2007, 2008, whatever time frame it was, where they were looking at a 20-lot subdivision. We have, as the planning board, because of the Zoom meetings, we normally would go, if we were in a live situation, go through the checklist, item by item by item. And what the planning board members did was they agreed to allow me to do that, to check the checklist prior to the the public hearing, to kind of double check Kevin's work. And from what I can see, Kevin is a really good engineer. He knows what he's doing and has done the homework he's supposed to do. And the checklist looks in good order, Kevin. That being said, if there are no further comments from the public regarding this specific subdivision of this lot into 2 parcels, I would like to close the discussion, and I believe we have to go through a process of accepting the application, then approving the lot. So do I have a motion to accept the application? Sarah, help me out on this. Is that the right way?
Excuse me, could somebody mute their phone?
I think that's Fran. Can we mute Fran? Is there any way, David, that you can do that specifically?
I'm doing it.
There we go. Thank you.
Yep.
I'm just as bad as he is on the technology too. So I appreciate that. Sarah, we have to accept the application, is that right? And then we have to make a vote on whether to approve it?
Correct.
Okay, so do I have a motion to accept?
Yes. Motion to
Kathleen is making a motion to accept. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second it.
I have a second from Mr. McAleer. Okay. All in favor to accept the application?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? With no opposition, then I will not call for a roll. It's unanimous. And now the second vote is to approve the application or to approve the subdivision. And so I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, that was Kathleen and Chris, I believe.
Huntley.
Very good
That was
job.
Huntley. That was Huntley.
Oh, I'm sorry. Damn. It came from the same spot in the screen, Huntley. Oh, goodness. Okay, I have a motion on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? I hear no opposition, therefore I will consider it unanimous and will not ask for a roll. And I believe that at this point, we can, I need a motion to close do I need a motion to close the public hearing?
No, you can, I think you can do it as chairman.
I can just say we're done? Oh, good. I love parliamentarians. Thank you, everyone. You're entitled to stay on and watch our regular meeting. It's boring.
Wait a minute, that's not it?
No. We got work.
Oh, you fool me, Bill.
I'm sorry. We have those short-term rental applications that we have to look at. And
All right.
so you're welcome to hang out, but otherwise, thank you very much for all attending. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate
it. Thank you for doing the Zoom. Thank you.
I will send hard copies and a Mylar early next week, if that sounds good for the final plans.
That would be great.
Yep.
And if you just let me know that you've done that, and so I'll be able to get down there and do the signatures.
Great, sounds good.
And David as well.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Kevin,
Kevin.
thank you for your presentation and your work. Appreciate it when things are done well. It makes our job easier.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. So we have a few folks who are still hanging out.
Because I can't find the button.
Oh, they're disappearing quickly, quickly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We've got short-term rental applications, and we have a whole bunch of them.
Yes.
Has everybody taken the opportunity to look at them?
Yes.
Bill, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of them here, and I got a whole bunch of stuff that was sent to me earlier today in a zip file, even though I just bought zip, WinZip or whatever it's called, and I couldn't download them. Are we supposed to go through each application individually? I mean, I'm thinking, isn't that something that the town employee should do? And then if there's any, and basically approve any, and if there's any question on approval, then they come to us. I wonder if it's not an awful lot of waste of our time if we go through each application individually. Again, I think that's something that maybe the town employees should do.
Which the town employee does do.
Okay, so we're not going through every application or not?
What we need to do is we need to make comments. If there are comments made either by board members, planning board members, for example, if you're looking at the stuff and you see something that doesn't make sense to you, or you're personally aware of something and you go, nah, there's something wrong with that. Then we should make comment about that. Or if we're made aware of something that is at issue.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, if something is basically okay, then maybe we just rubber stamp it. If it's not okay, because comments are on it, then we review it. That's sort of my question.
Again, we don't have a lot of precedent on this since we've only done one of these before.
Yep.
My expectation is that we're going to get about another 110 or 120 of these.
Yep.
And I don't want to grow old reviewing these.
Exactly.
In the meeting. So from my perspective, unless there is something of concern, then we should be looking at this, and we're required to look at it because that's how a conditional use permit works. It has to go to a planning board. You have to have a planning board. It has to go to the planning board for review. But we are only voting to accept the application. We are not voting to approve the short-term rental. All right, and
Okay,
so
yeah.
Unless the application's deficient, we should be voting to accept it.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm suggesting.
Well, no, I think that's what we are required to do, and I don't think we're the place where the conversation happens, where you have people questioning the application. However, if something comes up, for example, if we have somebody who's online, they want to comment and say, yeah, such and such is so-and-so, and we hear that, I think it's also our responsibility to record that and
Right.
put it on the comments.
Right.
Does anybody have a different view of that?
I've got kind of an issue with the applications. unfortunately, I've been in some of these places. What happens if they're misrepresented? Window size, air conditioners blocking windows, windows that don't meet the fire code, the regulations for egress. What happens if there's a fire and somebody's hurt or killed? If that property is misrepresented by the owner, does the town hold any liability where we've accepted? Does the liability go completely on the owner?
Hadley, it's a great question. One of the ways we went through this process was to make certain that we did not add to our burden as a town to accept any additional liability in simply registering short-term rentals. Our intention is to make sure that we have the information available and that if there is a complaint or a concern and our process is specified in the ordinance, if the select board approves a short-term rental approves a short-term rental, and there is a concern, whether it's yours or anybody's in town, they can go to the Board of Selectmen and request a public hearing. So there's a process to allow for people to question a representation that's made in the application. It's not our job to do a review, and that was part of one of the compromises we really made as part of the process, is to say, look, we're not going to try to do that up front because in effect the state legislature has prevented
We
us.
don't have the authority. On the other hand, Bill, if Huntley knew of a specific misrepresentation, I would think he could bring that up, or anybody could bring that up,
Yes.
and we would review it in arrears, so to speak, and decline it.
The question would not be whether we would decline the application. For us, the application just simply needs to meet the requirement of the application.
I meant after the fact.
Yes, and that's the whole select board's responsibility, not ours. So that gets us, and that, Chris, when we were going through the process of this, we had a couple of choices about how we could do this. The choice we made was so that we have the least amount of involvement in the process as a planning board, and we gave the bulk of the responsibility to the Board of Selectmen. If we chose, the other choice we had was for us to be the ones who had all the opportunity to do the questioning for egress and this and that. And we don't have resources to do that. We don't have the ability to, go to the fire chief or the building inspector. The Board of Select folks do. They own the resource. And if there's concern, then the Board of Selectmen are going to be able to deal with it.
So Huntley would go directly to the board if he felt there was a misrepresentation or something that
yes.
totally didn't make the requirements.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I was trying to get.
And if we got something from someone that said, we have a concern about that, we should include that in our note.
Yep.
I just feel like I'm in an awkward situation.
Yep.
And I know our building inspector, just by visuals on these properties, when they advertise them, can pretty much tell some of the things that whether they're true or whether they're not true. And I guess I just feel it should be a public official employed by the town of Jackson that, I'd love to see inspections. You know, by the fire inspector, the building inspector. And unfortunately, since I've been on, you know, some of these boards, I feel that sometimes people have a tendency not to tell the truth, and that frustrates me. But I feel like I'm in an awkward position where I've been the plumber. I'd have a lot of enemies in town.
Yeah. Right now, for example, Kevin has identified a couple of properties among the applications here that may have issues.
Yeah.
And he's probably the best one among the town officials, if you will.
I agree.
To identify those kinds of things. And we do have, in the way we constructed this, the opportunity for an inspection if there's a concern.
Yep.
That's not us.
Good.
I got us out of that. I didn't want us in that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because, well, and we could have. That was the other choice, was to do it the other way. It really, we're serving more an administrative role, and that is that we are acting as a board instead of a town employee to say, yeah, we've reviewed the application and the application meets our requirements. And that's all we're doing.
Okay.
Then for concerns about a particular property, yeah, that's the Board of Selectmen. And they're responsible for the administration, they're responsible for compliance, they're responsible for fining people if someone is not meeting the requirements. And it's their responsibility to enforce the regulation. We do our job, they do theirs. Does that answer Chris's your question?
It's my question, I think, but I think Huntley should, if he feels that something is not in compliance, if people are misrepresenting what they have, I think he should basically bring it up. You know, he shouldn't feel uncomfortable in doing that. That would be my opinion.
But I think what we're saying is that that's on personal responsibility. If you feel that you need to do that, my suggestion would be that you talk to the building inspector and say, we've had such and such applications, and those are going to be going before the selectmen.
But he would bring it up as a personal citizen, not as a member of the planning board.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and I have talked to the building inspector.
Right. Kevin knows all about every one of these. Julie shares it with him.
I believe that's correct, and so it may be you're maybe going to be singing to the choir.
Right.
But
trust me, Kevin has written a long letter to the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
Yeah, he does a good job.
Yes.
Does anyone have a different perspective than what I just said about what we're supposed to be doing? Because again, we don't have precedent on this, and don't wish to speak for the board. I'm expressing my opinion based on my understanding.
No, I reread it again tonight before we started this because I knew we had 11 of these, a lot of these, and you're right on target. So we are just here to approve the application the way it's written here, not to approve them, just to review the application.
All right, and so then the question is, do we need to approve each one individually, or can we do it on a blanket basis? Sarah, help me out.
Well, I have a problem in that I don't have access to these applications. I searched through my email history, and I could only find one email from Julie that had the information on just two of them, two of the 11. And I don't know whether my email provider has dropped that original email, if there was an original information.
I think I could forward it again. It was on the first. She gave us 5 attachments on the 1st of July.
1st of July?
Yeah. And what I will do in the future is I will gather them all up again when I send out the agenda to you folks. So you'll have it in one single place. I'll talk to Julia so we can make sure that they're all together in one packet. So you'll have the agenda where I made the list, and then you'll also have all the applications.
I mean, the applications don't say anything other than the fact that they're applications that I can see.
Right.
And there are a bunch of them, and then she sent maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 others that I couldn't even read the names, they're so small.
Yeah, the last set she sent us was they were missing 2 New Hampshire state tax documents.
And she sent those today.
And she sent those, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last week, Thursday, she sent out 2. I'm trying to just check through to see, Sarah, you are listed as receiving for last week, Thursday.
And Scott had a question earlier to Julie that she answered. And if you look at the application, it answers his question was, most of these have been, not will be. Most of these are existing short-term rentals. And that's on the application. It distinguishes if they're new or have been on that date that we proposed.
So David, you're saying that all 11 of these are ones that were in existence before town meeting?
Yep.
But they still have to meet all the other requirements.
Right, yes. But I think it was that they're not bound by the number, the limitations.
Right.
Yeah.
By the way, Ms. Johnson here is on the list, by the way. Ms. Heather Johnson is still with us right here.
Yeah, I looked at the applications as I received them, and everything seemed to be in good order.
Yep.
Now, obviously, to your point, Huntley, whether or not the affidavit that says I'm doing this and I have the egress, because they have to say that on the affidavit that, yeah, they do. And obviously there may be a point of contention between what they have said that they've done versus what they are actually doing. And to that extent, that is the Board of Selectmen really need to be pushing at that.
And I had another concern with septics, but apparently discussing it with Kevin, we can only go by the tax records for the number of bedrooms and bathrooms on certain houses done below, I can't, it's 2,000 something, because even though in the 70s you had to have a septic, the designs were poor, they didn't give elevations. And so there's not really much of a record. So that's all we can go on is it may not be a 3 or a 4 bedroom house according to the septic, but we have no way of, so that's out of our area too, apparently.
That is also out of, and we did that specifically. We avoided trying to mesh up septic with that because we don't have septic designs on record. And that was part of the discussion we had with Peter Malia early on when we designed the ordinance, is that we would go by the building permit if there was one, and by the tax record if there was not. And that's exactly what the application says. And not referencing back to the septic system was intentional. Again, I don't believe what we've done for short-term rental activity is the be-all and end-all, but it does get us to the point where we do get to register everyone. And then if there are obvious concerns, there's a process for those obvious concerns to be registered and brought to light. And that's what we've done. I agree with you, Huntley. We don't get upfront inspections. We don't get this. We don't get to match it to septic. We don't get to do any of the things that you would like to do if you wanted it to be a building inspector, building code kind of thing. We are not building code enforcers. Let's get back to the applications then. Can we do this as a group then?
I think so.
Or do we have to specify them individually and then say we will include these as a group?
I think we should.
Yeah.
All right. Sarah, do we need to specify them each individually for the minutes, or can we just simply incorporate them in the minutes?
We're in uncharted territory.
Yeah, I know. Would it be that we could just read them off? That we have the following applications?
I don't think that's even necessary. I think if we just post it in our minutes, these were the applications that we got, we approved them.
All right.
Like we did in the agenda, we could just list the ones we did.
Yeah, they're listed in the agenda, and,
Right.
and can we just reference the agenda
Yeah.
as listed in the agenda?
Yeah.
Again, we're in uncharted territory, to your point, Sarah. Would this be sufficient?
Well, it seems that, we're not, well, with the one that we did last time, there was an issue and he was going to, which he brought up, and it was going to be taken care of before it went to the Board of Selectmen. Now, if you and the Julies have gone through the applications and everything is there that needs to be there, then I would think that we could just say that, as far as we know, the application is complete.
Right.
Right, that's why Julie sent us the last 2 tax documents today. That made them all correct.
Yes. They are, right now, they're complete.
Correct.
They all have affidavits. They all paid their $50. They all have provided the correct information that we have requested.
I think we accept as presented.
Yep.
So I'm going to request that a motion be made to accept the applications as listed in the agenda which have been reviewed as complete applications. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
I have a
Second.
motion and a motion from Chris and a second from Huntley. I'm getting good at finding the voices. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? I have no opposition, therefore I will not request that we have a roll call of the vote. It's unanimous. Okay. Kath, I think we're all set with short-term rentals for this evening.
Wow.
Well, we have Miss Johnson and Miss Renier. They were both on the list, so.
Do you have any questions or concerns that we should be talking to you about?
My name's Heather Johnson. I am one of the short-term rental owners that submitted the application for tonight.
Yes.
And my only question was to the town. I was told about this application and all of this information through a friend of my sister's. Like, honestly, I hadn't received any mail or any sort of message from anybody in the town about this process other than through a friend of a friend. So I just was wondering, did the town send something out to all the people that they knew were already short-term rental owners, or was there a general bulletin put up at the town hall? You know, I just wasn't sure of the process of finding out who's renting in the town of Jackson or who's not, because there's probably plenty of people like myself that had no clue about this unless somebody told them.
Well, that's part of the problem, and one of the reasons that we put this ordinance in is that we don't know who is doing a short-term rental. And as far as what goes on in the town is that this is publicized within the area.
Right.
And as far as information, that if a person wants to know the information, they can certainly, one of the ways that the full-time residents get information is through e-news, which you can sign up for.
That's how I got here tonight. I was happy to find that. So thank you. I was like, oh, awesome. Jackson is Zooming.
Well said, Sarah.
So we, and I'm sure all of the whole lead up to the town vote in March, there was plenty of information on e-news saying that this was happening. And it's also on the town website as to what the regulations are.
And to your point, Heather, though, I don't know that the Board of Selectmen has done anything to have a push, something pushing out to everybody in town saying, hey, we got a new we have a new ordinance and you have to fill out one of these short-term rental applications. That hasn't happened. And I think Sarah's correct that there was a lot of noise around this when we were doing the reviews, the public hearings. I think a good number of folks who do short-term rentals were very much aware of what was going on, provided feedback and how we actually put this together. So, but to your point, I don't think anything specifically as a push out to every taxpayer in town has occurred. And I don't know that we have heard from the Board of Selectmen how they intend to do the regulation of this in terms of people who are not providing the information to them so we can process this and get this on record. I don't know any of that right now. Part of I think the difficulty has been this COVID-19 thing. But I think also it's just, it's not been a priority.
I think maybe we could suggest to the selectmen is that when the property tax notices go out, that there might be just a notice attached to it saying that referencing the new ordinance and requesting that all of those property owners who are using their properties for a short-term rental is that they need to make the application and go through the process. Just a short notice on that would then go out to everybody. And then people like Heather and Katie would have gotten their property tax.
Yeah, and we talked about that, and I think it just simply slipped for the June mailing. So I don't know what the next mailing is that they have that they might do that.
What is it, December? Get 2 mailings.
I think it's November that they actually send the darn things out. Maybe it's December. Whether or not they want to do mailing earlier than that, I have no idea.
Well, at least to get it for the next mailing,
Yeah.
because it would not be an extra expense.
Normally, Heather, Katie, Dick Bennett would be as a member of our the planning board, and he would normally be here and would be able to comment relative to the Board of Selectmen actions and what they might do. But he's not here this evening, so but we will take your comment and make sure he knows about it.
Thank you.
Anything else on short-term rentals? Kathleen?
Yeah.
Are you prepared to do any updates on capital improvements, or do you want to punt again?
No, I do not.
You want to punt? Is that what I heard you say?
Basically, yes. Dick has been more involved in it than I have right now, but like you said, with the virus going on, kind of difficult. And with, the information really comes from the heads of the departments, and it goes to the selectmen more than it does to come through. So Dick is more familiar with all of that stuff since he's involved with it. I know we've discussed things like, future wish lists. And right now, I don't think that this is the time to do any of that stuff, to tell you the truth, because of the virus and what's going on in the whole country. It's not a priority list to be done.
I take that we will allow that to run to at least the next meeting.
Okay.
And we'll get an update then. And the update then may be that we'll talk about the next meeting after that.
Probably.
And Chris, I'm sorry, I don't know how to operate a Zoom meeting where you put your hat on.
Well, in the absence of Dick, I'll take my imaginary hat, take it down, and suggest that we call this meeting to order. Or finish it, or whatever.
Adjourn.
Not to order, to finish.
Yeah, okay. If you want to start again, we can do that.
Well, whatever. Just, you know what I meant.
I have a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you.
Tess.
Next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.